Alright, so today we are using Photoshop to do our portraits that we have talked about a little bit earlier in class. I'm going to show you how to do this little bunny picture. Super exciting because bunnies are amazing. So we're going to go to File, New. I'm going to change mine to inches because it's easier for me to picture it in my head. I'm going to change the width to 8 inches, the height to, go ahead and make that just 6. And my resolution, I want it a little higher, so I'm probably going to do 150 per inch. So there you go. Let's see, it's slightly different dimensions, but we'll be okay. You're going to go ahead in Dropbox and download this little guy here, the bunny. Don't forget you're clicking on these dots to hit download. I'm going to click view original. You can copy and we can paste in. This gorgeous little bunny is now one of our layers. So you can either use the lasso tool, the quick selection tool, or just the eraser. I'm going to go ahead and use my eraser, make it a little larger, and we're going to erase all the extra. I think I might end up using just the quick selection tool to get the majority of this down. So we're pretty close. Once you get the majority of it, I would just go back in, make sure you deselect, going in with your eraser, maybe making it a little of a softer brush so the hardness is down. Let's change the size of our eraser. And we have our little floating bunny in white space. Gorgeous little bunny. It's okay if you're a little off, because I'm going to end up covering part of that up. I'm going to kind of soften with this eraser some of my edges, giving it more of, a little softer look. I think this works really well in there, but maybe the top and bottom, giving it more of that glowy kind of effect. Alright, so let's unlock our background. So we're making that into layer 0. I just did that by double clicking. I'm going to make my bunny disappear for now. We're going over here to our brushes. Selecting just a basic brush, larger brush, and selecting our color from down here. You can select whatever color you'd like. I'm just going to fill this in. Gorgeous, all one color. And I'm going to use one of my brushes that you can also download in here. I have some Galaxy ones and some Fusion ones. So I have them already all loaded up. You can use whichever one you'd like. I'm going to change my color, kind of give it, let's do something cool. More like Space Galaxy brush right there. And now we got a bunny in space. But that's kind of boring. So let's go ahead and do another layer. This is going to have a lot of layers in this tutorial. We can select another one of these brushes, and this is really open to you. I'm going to kind of pull this, we can change the size. I'd probably change the color. Let's make it pink, purplish pink, why not? And so I have all of this in one layer. If I want to change the direction this is going, I can go over here to my brush. You can also, if you don't see that on yours, just make sure you have window and brush open. Let's change the angle. And we also change the spacing just so I can see it a little bit better. Putting him in space. You can also change the size here. Ta-da! Let's see. I want to get a little bit more of a spilling, kind of shooting look with this. That's a little too much. Let's undo that. Going in with Maybe some of that down there. I can go in with other brushes here. That might be a little strong. And I think that's probably good for that one. So this was pretty cool, what we have here, but if we double click this layer, we have our layer styles pop up. You can click on things to cover overlay, you know, just tons of stuff, but to actually manipulate it, you need to click on the word itself. I'm going to go down to, let's go to gradient. So you see it went from our gradient here. Actually, let's go ahead and cancel that. I want to erase this thing down here. It's bothering me. Alright, beautiful. And notice when we're going to go to the layer styles, it's only going to affect that layer that we're selected on. So right now it's black and white. I'm going to give it some color. How about even like this? We can keep it like that. You can change the opacity of the gradient. And you see this kind of gives me some light pinks and some dark pinks. And it really depends on what kind of gradient you want. You could also go radial, so it's all from the center. You go reflected. You change it around however you'd like. So we have that first layer, but it's not really looking super fancy yet. So I'm going to make a new layer again. And pay attention to your overlay so you know where things are. Back to my brush tool. I think I might go for some blues. Let's do dark blue. And we're going to go back into our galaxy a little bit more. And let's see, let's do this. Now you notice I'm kind of covering up the rabbit in some of this. But don't worry, we'll fix it. If you don't like something, your undo button is your friend. Actually, I don't like that. You go back in. Ooh. I'm going to make the size a little bit bigger because it's beautiful. I mean, I'm just really playing around with it at this point. So you get kind of the point of what I'm doing here. Kind of making this bunny in space deal. We can go in with our eraser on this layer. And let's bring our bunny back. And notice if I just erase the ear, we can make some of it go in front of the rabbit. So I could keep that if I'd like, or I could really keep that blue line. And I can make some look like it is behind the rabbit. You are going to take your time. I'm rushing through this to make sure I get all of the things I want to tell you about it. So beautiful. You can download whatever brushes you'd like. I have some to places and resources on my site. You just look on the side. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take this one totally out, just to save time. But you can see how you can overlap it with this. I'm going to overlap a little bit of it, maybe just right there. All right, new layer. This one I'm going to do a couple different things to. Let's go for more. You know what? I have these carrots that I made. I'm going to end up making these. You know what? Let's make them orange carrots. I'm going to change my orientation. I'm going to let them overlap a little bit. I think that's fine. We can change the size. Orientation again. I probably don't want that one. Beautiful. I can also select a new brush from here as well. So I'm going to go for another galaxy one. And I think I'm going to do this on a separate layer. And I'm also going to make this bright yellow. So for this layer, I want you to pay attention to it. I have a little bit more going on. I can go back into my layer styles on this layer, add a pattern, outer glow will change it, drop shadow might give you more of like a paint splatter effect. Inner glow, if I want to alter it, I can also change the color. I want the inner glow to, let's say, be, I don't know, let's say pink. Just say okay, see what happens. You can change the opacity, kind of outline some of it, and the size. Some of it will end up going white. Make it a little bit like that. We can stroke it, but it's not going to come out very nicely if you have it fade like that. It's also inner shadow and bevel and emboss. So play around with those. You can use whatever style that you'd like. We can also change the opacity. This is a pretty trippy bunny right there. So I've done something similar, and in this one, you can see I've had the bunny where some things overlapped it. Sometimes the bunny went on top of something. Sometimes something else was behind it. You can play around with pulling these down at different layers. Maybe I want to have the carrot on top. But it's all about kind of playing around, seeing what you like. You can also go in here, this little circle with a slash through it. In here, we can do a hue and saturation. So we can change the saturation to be black and white. Kind of boring in this case. Or to be super colored, but you want it probably somewhere in the middle. We can also alter the colors. So that I say, oh, I really like, let's say, these with the red, because I really like the red in there. But that made a new layer. I don't want the bunny to be that color. I can take my erasing tool, go back in, erase the bunny right there. And it's just on this layer. You see it's showing up in that little preview. And you can end up fading it out if you'd like, changing the opacity up here or whatnot. And so now you have your tutorial. What I want you to do now is make your own bunny version tutorial, and then we can jump into the project itself.